You are.
All right. Did that echo?
Yeah.
We got the little echo thing going.
Should be all set now.
Is that better? All right. Okay, let's open the Select Board meeting of December 17th, 2024 at 6:01 PM. This is an in-person meeting at 138 Main Street, Wenham, Mass, on the first floor. As a convenience to the public, it is available electronically via the Zoom link below or via HWCam for viewing and participation. In the event of a technology failure, the meeting will continue in person. Please be advised that this meeting is being broadcast live via Zoom. It is also recorded for playback video on-demand viewing at hwcam.org. Please note that other than call to order, all times are estimated. Items may be taken out of order. Welcome. All right. So, public input. Purpose: for public comment on matters falling within the jurisdiction of the Select Board and not on the current agenda. Note: public comment on specific agenda items with public comment period will be deferred until those items are reached. Rules: 2 minutes per person. A person may speak only once. Michelle. 10 minutes total. All participants wishing to address the Select Board during public comment may do so in person or via Zoom by virtually raising their hands. Speakers must identify themselves by name and a street address. The Select Board may not deliberate or vote on matters discussed during public comment, but are not on the agenda. You got anybody?
I'm going to say that, but if he ends up since you know.
Anybody
Anybody
online?
No one online. Public comment, anyone? No?
On anything on the agenda?
Matters that are,
Not on the agenda.
Oh, none of you.
Yeah.
is there something on the agenda you want to talk about? You can, you'll have to wait till we get to that, but if you have something that's not, okay. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, there is a hand up, Mr. Chairman. Mark Harris, would like to speak.
Okay.
It's for the liquor license, but, unless he has something else.
Hi, I was just acknowledging that I was online, because it said
Okay.
no one was online.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
All right, let's move on to the reports and announcements, starting with the town administrator's update and town announcements, please.
All right. First, we are update on the Iron Rail study. So we have met with the consultants. They're going to integrate the financial review. So if anyone has any comments, please get that to me, if possible, by the end of the year. And right now we're looking at dates in February. So we believe it would probably work best to invite all boards and committees and have a separate meeting night just for this topic. The vendors will come in and present all the findings to, where I envision all the board members and any public gather feedback in that meeting. So we were looking at either doing a Tuesday night that the Select Board doesn't meet or a Wednesday night in February. So I'll be sending out an email. We're going to work with the Select Board to identify your availability, and then based on the Select Board's availability will be how we set the date, and we'll send it out and coordinate with everybody else. So last time we tabled the COA job descriptions for a more thorough review of the department. We are working through that with Jim. He's providing some good clarification to the jobs, the different duties that everybody has. However, he is really anxious to get the assistant position filled. So I'm going to allow that position to be posted with anticipation of finalizing the job description next time. It seems like that out of all the jobs will have very minimal changes. It's a part-time position, and to get it posted and get somebody in there. Similarly, with the assessor's job description, the assessors did vote to recommend the job descriptions as presented last time. However, due to timing, we did not have that vote in time to meet the 48-hour period, so they are not on this description, but I am going to allow the posting of Terry's data collector to get it out, to kind of get out ahead of it and through the holiday season so that we can get someone in there because she is in the office by herself. The trash collection update and the renegotiating of the contract, we'll be moving it till 5 o'clock instead of 3:30 so that Karen and Ben can both participate. So that will be the same date as circulated, but moving it out till 5 o'clock. And likely we'll be meeting once a month. And then probably what everybody's been waiting for, the e-newsletters name is, drum roll please,
Yeah.
the suspense.
That's not it.
Blocking the winner.
That little thing out of there.
Wenham Wire.
Ah, that's what I voted for. Yeah. It's catchy.
I want an inside scoop.
So majority wins, got like 28%. I like it. I didn't vote. I said I wasn't going to vote, but that's
many
probably
people
what
voted?
I picked. About 52. Is that what the final was?
Yeah, I think 51.
51. It's not bad. Not
And
bad.
do we know what the margin of victory was for Wenham Wire over Village Voice?
It was, I think it was 4%.
Yeah.
If we can see if we can drop that down, you can see the percentage.
Get that lower.
Every vote counts.
There you go.
Oh, there we go, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it looks
It's
like.
probably a little more than 4%, say 6%.
All
Well,
right.
there you have it. Wenham Wire.
Are you happy?
It's fine with me.
And finally, we are going to be putting on social media tomorrow that we'll be closing Town Hall this Thursday at 2:30 for the holiday party. And those are all the updates.
All right. Wenham resident Virginia Rogers passed away before Thanksgiving. Virginia spent 20 years on the Select Board, many years on the CPC, and on the Council on Aging. I ran cross paths with her 2 years on the Planning Board. Nothing made her happier than doing seniors' taxes. She was truly a great citizen of Wenham. And that's all I have.
I have just briefly, tonight is the annual winter concert at the Miles River Middle School. It's a great show that the kids put on, and with apologies, I'm going to excuse myself at 6:45 to run over there and see my daughter sing.
Since this is the last Select Board meeting of 2024, I just wanted to take a quick opportunity to thank our staff here at Town Hall. We have really excellent, dedicated, common sense, friendly, and easy to work with staff here, led by Steve, and there's several other people here in the room. And I was reminded of that just in in terms of some of the occasional correspondence that comes into members of the staff from members of the public who maybe are frustrated or upset about things, and we've had some this week that were particularly sharp, I think unnecessarily so. But I don't want to dwell on that negative piece. I just reminded me of the good work that all of you do, and the patience that you show to the public, and the service that you provide very competently and professionally. So just wanted to note that as we close the year.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a few different acknowledgements. The first one is coming from the Friends of Winthrop School in regards to their holiday boutique. They would like to thank everyone so much that came out to share their annual holiday boutique with the community. We appreciate all of those who supported them as vendors, volunteers, and shoppers. A special thank you goes out to Melissa and Emily for their tireless efforts that made the boutique amazing and successful. We have the hopes of having another successful boutique next year. So that is extremely exciting for all those that were able to visit. It was fun, eventful, and a completely great community event. From the Friends of Bucher, a quick reminder that we have the CARES concert on Friday, this coming Friday, December 20th at 2 p.m. I will give a small plug to the second graders who have done an amazing job singing and practicing in my living room. Beverly Bootstraps has been a great collaborator with the Friends of Bucher and have made very generous the Friends have made very generous donations over the course of December. The kids have raised over $500 to be given to Beverly Bootstraps, which is a great group over there. January 15th, the Friends of Bucher is having a lecture series, the first of many that they're looking forward to for 2025. This one is going to be delivered by Dr. Jason LaRoque, and it is Raising Healthy and Emotionally Vibrant Boys. It is an amazing event. It's welcome to all, and they're looking forward to hosting that in the Bucher Auditorium. The community forum that's going to be hosted for the proposed new elementary school project is going to be held on January 22nd. The location is to be determined, but all are encouraged and welcome to attend. And a quick note, a quick small plug, we had 19 Girl Scouts head to 6 different locations on Friday evening, caroling and delivering cookies to Maplewoods, the Boulders, Maples. We had sung to over 50 community members. That was welcomed and a great opportunity to see the two generations collide. So, thank you.
I'd like to say thank you to Bill Wilson from the Cemetery Commission and all the members of the commission, as well as the Veterans Committee that held the Wreaths Across America last Saturday at noontime. We had a good turnout, even though it was a bit chilly. And special thanks to both the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts who participated both in the ceremony itself and in laying the wreaths, as well as all the other citizens. And just a side note, I believe that it is Girl Scout cookie time, too.
It is.
All right, so are we ready to move on to the consent agenda? Routine items for approval in a single motion, allowing them to be passed without discussion unless held. First is minutes for the 11/06/2024 meeting. The Hamilton Wenham Community Access and Media, HWCAM, appointment for a term starting December 17th, 2024 through June 30th, 2026, Catherine Harrison. Yep.
Just one quick edit on the minutes I saw on page 3 when we talked about the committees. We're using the term treasurer, although I think the bylaw makes it financial officer for each of the committees, so we ought to just change that wording maybe.
All righty.
I also had some punctuation updates for those minutes. And I also have a quick note. There are a few minutes that reference selectmen. I would like to propose that we no longer use the word selectmen and that we can be referred to as the select board members.
I'll have to talk to Catherine Tinsley.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I think it's actually not in reference to us, but it's in reference to the room, so I don't know if that needs to be changed
The room has
officially.
changed.
Is it officially changed? All right, so we just note that.
Since I edit Catherine Tinsley's minutes, I'll take responsibility for those, so I'll keep an eye on both of those issues. Although to question my punctuation, Karen, that's really a low blow.
Hey, you know.
I'm kidding.
You asked me to read these documents. I read them.
Must have been some problem with the red line.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And just before a vote, I just wanted to, Catherine Harrison gave me a note. She regrets that she can't be here tonight, but she, wanted me to wish the board happy holidays and thanks for considering her for this appointment.
All right.
We don't have a motion
Gary?
I think we do.
So, move to approve items A through B in the consent agenda as printed in this evening's agenda with the edits as proposed.
yet. Second.
All right, ready to vote? Peter Clay says yes.
Deirdre, yes?
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Carrie, yes.
All right. New business, items for individual consideration. These items will allow for public comment, 10 minutes. Purpose, this comment period will allow for public comment on individual and will be held before or after the board's discussion of the agenda item at the discretion of the chair. Rules, 2 minutes per person. A person may speak only once, 10 minutes total per item unless noted on the agenda item. Okay, so the first one
My
is
review.
used car dealer license
So
renewals.
we're going to jump to discussion on town administrator's review.
Oh,
J.
okay, excuse me.
No, excuse me, K,
Okay.
and then from K we'll go to H.
Discussion on town administrator's annual review policy. So, do we have that, right? Right, so did you guys all look at this? So, I think the only thing I would mention is that as long as, we can talk amongst ourselves as long as it's only two. We can talk to Steve, but we encourage people not to talk to people who work for the town. You guys all right with that? You all right with that?
We can
Yeah, whatever the board.
talk only two, but period, like not two and then a different two, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it can't be serial, just to
Right.
be clear, yeah.
So, do we have anything more to discuss on this? We're not
just-
voting on this.
Are we
No,
setting
we
a
already did.
timeline to get this done, or a new timeline for the sessions?
Yeah, now we're at the holidays. So at what point should we have ours completed, I think is the question. Given the holidays.
Yeah, whenever you guys think you can.
Middle of January?
Sure.
Middle of January. All right. You're quaking in your boots, buddy. All right, so now we go back to used car license renewals?
We're going to H.
Yeah, why don't we get the HVAC? Well,
Yes.
is Rick here?
Rick will be Attorney Holland will be signing in soon on Zoom, but we have Bill from the company and also Christian Michael online.
All right, just a little introduction. So as you're aware, this started off 2 years ago with an in-kind replacement. We've since had electrification studies done, air quality studies done, and ultimately landed on this project that Bill's going to go into. We've discussed this a couple times. It's a geothermal system for the town hall. We use this as a submission for the Green Communities Grant Award for $500,000. And, like anything, as we've kind of peeled back the onion, the project got increasingly complex with the placement of the pipes. And his colleague Christian are going to go over the details of the project, but the long and short of it is that the project's more complex than we originally thought, so that means more money. And they prefer that we vacate the building. However, we've said that that's, it really can't happen. So there is an alternative where we can occupy the building a floor at a time. So to do the second floor, would move to the first floor, and then vice versa. However, that comes at additional cost because it requires temporary power and temporary heat or AC. So with that, and I'll let Bill go ahead.
Just a point of order. With all respect, how long will this presentation take? I'm just wondering why we're taking this out of order, because we've got a lot of people waiting for.
Yeah, the board can certainly do that before. We have Attorney Holland, I believe, who's here at 6:30 from KP Law representing the town, has another community at 7.
Oh.
So we're trying to fit it in, but we have the 10 minutes here, 10,
Yeah,
15
so why-
minutes. If we can just go to,
Good point.
why don't we go to the licensing then, if that's what the board.
Start with the used car dealer license renewals. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to,
Do we have anybody that needed to speak for the used car?
well, we can take
Yeah,
them
there
one
are
at a
people
time.
here.
They're all separate, right? So we can move Burnett's first.
Yes.
All right, move to approve the 2025 annual used car dealer license for Burnett's Garage.
Second.
Ready to vote? Peter Clay says yes.
Deirdre, yes?
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the 2025 annual used car dealer license for Fallon's Auto Service.
Second.
Gary seconds. Ready to vote? Peter Clay says yes.
Deirdre, yes.
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the 2025 annual used car dealer license for Freeman's Garage.
Second.
Ready to vote? Peter says yes.
Deirdre, yes?
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes.
All right, let's move to annual liquor license renewals. Okay, let's do these out of order. Okay? Let's start with Plat du Jour, please.
I'll move to approve the 2024 annual liquor license renewal for Plat du Jour.
Second?
Ready to vote? Peter says yes.
Deirdre, yes?
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes.
All right,
Move, on the other one?
yep.
Move to approve the 2024 annual liquor license renewal for Wenham Provisions, DBA Vin Fromage and Corp.
Second?
Ready to vote? Peter says yes.
Deirdre, yes?
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes.
Okay, do you want to discuss 97 Market?
Do we have people here that would like to speak?
That,
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
Yes, please.
I noticed should I go to the board?
Yes, please. The microphone, yep.
Are you a Wenham resident?
I am the owner of 143 Topsfield Road. My name is Adriana Perianos.
Okay.
There is a discrepancy because 97 Market Street is no longer a tenant, and as of August 31st, he was legally not a tenant. So the application is being brought up under our address, but he has no right to that address. We have a new tenant signed lease for that location.
So does that mean you have to resubmit the license request?
So the owner of 97 Market Street submitted a license renewal on a location or address that he's no longer at.
Oh, no, I understand.
Oh, yeah, so we do have, so the new tenant has applied for a license for that spot, or will be, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when that is submitted,
Yep,
we will deal with it.
okay, right.
And good luck.
Yeah, so I'm just here to say that this 97 Market Street has no right to use our address as
We
he's
get
not
it.
a tenant. Okay. Is there any questions or anything else?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion that we not approve the 2024 annual liquor license renewal for 97 Market, Inc.
Second.
Ready to vote? Peter says yes.
Deirdre, yes?
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes.
All right. Do we want to go to E?
Yeah, might as well just go to the 6:30.
Wenham Housing Authority Town appointed tenant board member appointments starting December 17, 2024 through June 30th, 2026. One seat open, Mark A. Hollingsworth, Sharon M. Ivy. Yes.
So a question for Steve. So have we decided this is the tenant seat that we're filling?
This is absolutely the tenant seat.
Right.
We are no longer under waiver. And it is, the seat is, since it was vacated partway through the term, is filled through the end of what the term would be, and that's 26, and then it becomes a 5-year appointed seat.
And so the makeup of the committee would change from all elected with the one state appointee to now 3 elected, 1 appointed, the tenant seat?
That's my, yeah,
Right.
that's my
Very well.
understanding.
Question, are either Mr. Hollingsworth or Ms. Ivy present?
They're not
Ms.
here.
Ivy?
Oh.
Hello, how are you? Good. Is Mr. Hollingsworth present? No, okay.
I didn't even realize. Okay.
Do we,
Could I ask Ms. Ivy if you're willing to speak just maybe a few words as to why you are interested in this position? No. Ms. Ivy?
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that Mr. Hollinsworth?
Are you Mr. Hollingsworth or?
no, I'm Miss Albert for 97 Market.
Oh, sir, we didn't know you were here, but we already took a vote on that and we denied the liquor license for.
I don't apply for that address. I apply for my business, 97 Market.
Well, I don't want to take over from the chair, but I think we've already
yeah,
handled this item and
were you
voted.
not listening when those two were talking?
I listen, but no one asked me to talk, so I just listen.
Well, I don't think we can provide a liquor license in any case with no address for it, right?
Right.
Need an address.
As I heard, I can keep it for 1 year until I found another place.
I can't hear.
That, I don't know whether that,
Come to the podium just to ask.
Yeah, do you want to come?
yeah, sorry, sorry, Ms. Ivy.
Sorry.
Like I asked if I can keep it for 1 year until I found another place.
Who'd you ask that?
When I applied to renew it, I renewed for 1 year until I found another place.
My understanding is that it's tied to address.
I'm-
You could
oh,
apply. You could apply and have it for that address. Like
No,
if
it's
you were
under
to-
my name, not under the address name.
That's not the information we received from the ABCC. And we're certainly, if the board wishes, we can get further clarification, but that's not my understanding.
I think it's fair to say, at least I'll explain to you, sir, my reason for denying it. I think from my perspective, and maybe this is the feeling of the entire board, because there isn't a functioning business at that particular location, we weren't prepared to renew a liquor license for any period of time for a business that is not operating at a particular Wenham location.
If I found another location, can I apply for it?
You can always apply for it, yes. Yeah, right. It hasn't been assigned to somebody else. It's just been denied to 97 Market as of tonight.
Yeah, 97 Market is my business and under my name.
Right. So that was denied, but there is an available liquor license that anybody qualified can apply for. But I would say to you that, at least for me, I would want to know that there's an actual physical location in Wenham in which the license would be used.
So the license will be held right now?
You don't have a 97 Market has no license right now.
So the license will be
Period.
back to the town?
It reverts back to the town, that's right.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Back to our regularly scheduled program. Miss Ivy, please.
Hi. I've lived at Eon Village now for 8 years. I like to keep the people busy, give them things to do, movies, potluck suppers, We gave them a Thanksgiving dinner. Just like to keep them going. Since I've been there that long, I think I could do a good job along with some of the other people that work there doing this. So,
Thank you. Thank you. Given that Sharon Ivy is here and Mark Hollingsworth is not,
And I think there was also maybe a recommendation from Ms. Ivy as well.
right. Okay, so do we have a
I'll
motion?
make a motion. Move to appoint Sharon M. Ivy to the Wenham Housing Authority for a term starting December 17th, 2024 through June 30th, 2026. And I'll add to hold the tenant-specific seat.
Second.
Ready to vote? Peter says yes.
Deirdre, yes?
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes. Congratulations, and thank you for stepping up.
Thank you.
Thank you. So are we ready to go on 8-track?
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's a board
Perfect.
wish.
Please.
So, and then, continuing on, Bill and Christian will go into the details, but, originally the board was going to be asked to approve this contract that you had in the packet and we'll review further tonight. However, due to the recent information that we received just on Friday with the increases, we're going to ask that you hold off on this, and we will try to schedule a brief meeting if the board wishes to proceed before the end of the year. All right, Bill, you can.
Great, thank you. Good to see you again. So Energy Systems Group was awarded through procurement to do an HVAC project, look at decarbonization like we're doing at Hamilton that Emma wrote about. You can read in the Hamilton one. And so we're doing the project down there. We had the shovel-ready ceremony a couple weeks ago. It was a very short timeline because one of the goals of the project was to leverage $500,000 approximately of ARPA dollars, so that has to be obligated by 12/31. So we're trying to get to basically a contract for cost and scope that you can obligate those funds to. And the other goals were around applying for a Green Communities grant, which we did apply for. We feel very strongly that we're going to get, but we won't hear from that till the end of January. Indoor air quality was another goal of the project, as a lot of the ventilation now is being handled by just opening up windows and such. And solar, which we agreed to do as a team in Q1 because we had this tight time on the mechanical given the ARPA dollars. So with that, I have my engineer, Christian, online. We can show you a couple things real quick. He's got a graph of some of the savings with the project options, as well as just some quick schematics to show you the scope of work. And then we have a financial file for the update, and then we can discuss what we're asking of the board from there. And I think Rick Holland is here. Is Rick
Yes,
here
he
yet?
is.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So Christian will need sharing. Can he share his screen?
Yes, I just someone needs to make me a presenter, it looks like.
Oh, is it?
Do we want to take that? Does Steve need to come back?
Sorry?
Does Steve need to come back?
No.
Okay.
I've made Christian a co-host.
So we had, when we focused on the Green Communities grant, we chose to go with geothermal. One, because there's federal incentives that basically neutralize the cost between air-to-air heat pump. The geothermal is a more efficient system. Also, you would not have any of the stuff that you see outside, the air compressor and all, the compressor and all the tanks, pipes, that's gone. Everything's in the ground. You won't see it, or it's in the building. And it has a higher likelihood of winning that Green Communities grant because of that. So Christian's showing you basically the different systems, the building as usual. So one of the things here, as you make changes, you will have to increase some of the ventilation rates here to bring it up to code. So there's going to be some energy recovery ventilation that's added to the project. And then GSHP stands for geothermal heat pump system. Christian?
Sure. So what we want to do here is kind of set the table for understanding the design by outlining why we made the choices we did. So what we're looking at as part of this 25A procurement is not only, a good ROI on the project in general, because it does generate energy savings, but we're also looking for the lowest possible ongoing utility and operating costs for the system. So we did look at a few different options. We considered, doing nothing, because that's always an option. We considered an in-kind replacement, so that would be the scenario where you're just replacing like a chiller with another chiller or a boiler with another boiler. We also looked at heat pump options. So, it's not shown here, but we also did consider like an air source heat pump option. It just doesn't have the performance that the ground source system does. So, in terms of what system we selected, we did end up proceeding with the ground source heat pump total electrification option, with the understanding that what we would be looking to do eventually would be to offset all of the electric load of the building with on-site solar to bring you to as close as we possibly could to net zero electric use. So that's what I got on that. You want to switch over to the design, Bill?
Yes. And again, between the air-to-air and the geo, because I know some questions came up from Steve's team as well, basically almost everything in the inside is the same. It's what's on the outside. It's that source of either taking or dispersing heat, either using groundwater or you're using the air, which we know can have quite variability. And again, the extra equipment that's outside goes away because everything's in the ground. So Christian, show just a fairly minute or so on the schematic so they can kind of see where the system's going.
I'll do kind of the Reader's Digest version of this.
We're not seeing a schematic.
Hold on 1 second. Here we go. How's that?
Nope. There we go.
Okay. All right, Reader's Digest version. So this is a heat pump system inside the building that is using a heat sink in the form of 2 wells on the exterior of the building. So heat is being rejected to the ground, which is at a fairly constant temperature, 55 to 65 degrees, which allows us to have that better performance than an air source system. So in terms of where the wells go, we're looking at 2 wells here, both in that kind of grassy area up in front of Town Hall. What this will look like from the ground is just a couple of manholes, basically. So nothing will be actually protruding. So there'll be 700 feet deep wells. We'll be drawing and returning groundwater to cool 2 heat pumps in the basement. Those will be physically located in where the boiler and the hot water piping is now in the mechanical room. Let's see if I can get, there we go. So this is a quick schematic of what that system will look like. So you'll have 2 wells, pipe trenched between the 2, and then pipe trenched back to the mechanical room where it will enter. The water will come in at that point, and then those will cool to heat exchangers that will in turn cool the heat pumps. So let me switch over to the inside portion here. You see this okay?
Yes.
So let's get there. Right now, what we have is a 2-pipe manual changeover system. So what this means is that there is a supply pipe and a return pipe to all the terminal equipment in the building that's sending cold water to the fan coil units in the summer and sending hot water to the fan coil units in the winter to provide heating. So as part of this project, the hydronic system is not going to be needed anymore, so this will be demolished and removed along with the boiler and the air-cooled chiller. And what will be installed is a variable refrigerant flow system that is using refrigerant as the working fluid instead of the water. So we won't have issues with sweating pipe or with any of the mold issues. Get rid of all of that and we start piping refrigerant through the building. So in its place, let me show, this is what it will end up looking like. Is you'll have VRF fan coil units in the place where you have hot water, cold water fan coil units now. So aesthetically, it won't really change that much. And then in terms of the new ventilation for the building, we are installing energy recovery ventilation, which preheats outside air or pre-cools outside air, depending on the season, with the exhaust airstream before delivering it to the space. So you will get mechanical ventilation delivered to every space in this building in full compliance with ASHRAE ventilation codes. So I think that's the Reader's Digest version too. I'm not going to won't spend too much more time on this.
Any questions on? Sure.
Just want to check, make sure that we are deconflicting this with the Route 1A project that's going to encroach a little bit on the front lawn.
How much are you going to get taken?
I think it was, what, 4 feet or so?
Yeah, 4 feet.
4 feet? So Christian, if we lose 4 feet from the road, does that affect that well location?
No, that's not a problem. We've got, so what I need is 75 feet of separation between the two wells. Right now, what I have is 90 feet. So we can pull this first well location in more. That's fine.
There you go.
Good point, Gary, though. I didn't even think about that.
Christian, want to go to the financial spreadsheet?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
That's okay. So recently in the Boston Globe, National Grid was quoted as saying that they don't recommend geothermal because of the weather constrictions Massachusetts has, and that the ground freezing was not an optimal situation. So is that something you want to comment on? Because I don't, I mean, it's a pretty substantial comment.
Well, most of this is below the freeze line, and I'm not the engineer, but actually I stopped today to our one of our water energy distributors that has the piping, and he showed me a piece of this pipe, and the inside is this nickel cadmium stuff that twists so that it doesn't freeze, because when it expands in itself, it kind of allows some flex. But that's I just actually saw that today, so I brought it up. But Christian, I don't know if you have a point to that. I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm not quite sure what to say other than that's mostly demonstrably false. So I don't know where they're getting that stuff from, but it's not the case.
Grid.
No, it's good. I read the article and wanted to make sure that we discussed it here. So
Sure.
thank you.
So, I mean, there are different kinds of geothermal. There are kinds that have multiple shallow wells that are using the ground more like a big heat exchanger. I could see the argument being made for that maybe that doesn't make a sense. In this case, what we're doing is called a standing column well. So we drill much deeper, and we're actually using groundwater as the fluid to cool the heat pumps. So that groundwater comes up at between 55 and 65 degrees all year long. So we're well below the frost line here.
I've had a geothermal at my house for 12 years in New Hampshire, and it gets pretty cold up there, so no problems with that. But I forgot, there are ground loops too that I would probably not want to do that. Plus, it's hard digging, in New England anyways to do those systems. But any more questions on the system?
Especially like a horizontal ground loop, I would not recommend that, but that would be kind of more the residential type stuff.
Okay. So we showed you a similar spreadsheet last time. Again, that was when we kind of came up with some pre-estimates real early in the process, and we know we had 2 months to sort of get to basically a contract price for this opera obligation. So with that, the numbers are up a little bit from I think there's some additional scope. As we looked inside the building, we're also dehumidifying downstairs in the basement to help with that issue too, so we're adding some dehumidification down there. But this shows you the funding sources. So a significant part of the project is still being funded through federal grants, which is that direct pay grants, that investment tax credit. 25.5% of the project for geo and solar are being paid from that. The ARPA, the Green Communities, $500,000, which we'll know by the end of January. The Mass Saves stays consistent on the $4,500 per ton. And there are some smart incentives, and that program's changing for the better this year, 25, for that type of canopy, municipal canopy that we're talking about here. And So bottom line is, I think one of the I think we were looking at maybe 125,000 that we're asking the town to sort of kick in out of free cash, and that has moved up a bit to a little over 300,000, maybe a little bit more. The other, as Steve mentioned, given the intrusiveness, it would be better if it was not occupied. It does cost a little more to sort of split the occupancy and do half and half. It extends the construction period and also has workaround activity. But Steve's asked us to look at some additional things, like maybe some of the pipe, leaving it there, pipe that's not in bad shape, get rid of the insulation, because that has, there's been rotten insulation, and we got to get rid of the insulation. But some of the piping could maybe stay. There's some other options around repairing and fixing ceilings, and some control stuff. So Christian's, we're working on that, and I think that's probably why Steve said, we're going to kind of come back to you in a week or so with some final numbers and some options. But, what we're going to have is a base project, and there may be some deduct options that you don't necessarily have to decide by the end of the year. I mean, the contract will be set up. We'll talk with Rick too. Like, okay, here's the price, and then if you don't do it occupied, if you do it unoccupied, then the price changes to this. Or if we relieve half the pipe in, the price will change to this. And then there'll also be that fallback in-kind replacement of that chiller and getting rid of that bad insulation if the Green Communities grant falls through, and you just decide from a funding standpoint and going into town meeting that you can't do it. So I think the contract will give you the flexibility to, address your concerns in Q1 around the additional funding that might come into play and what that final number is, and you don't have to give a notice to proceed if those things don't come together.
What would be the construction period for the unoccupied versus one floor at a time versus stay in place?
April or May, was it, Bill, starting?
Christian, you want to speak to the construction period?
So it adds 1 month having the building unoccupied versus occupied.
So I think it goes from 5 to 6 to 6 to 7 months once construction
The real
actually starts.
question is,
When would it commence?
how long do we have to stay out of the building?
If you're going to do it, I think it's at least 5 months, right, Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah, in my opinion, vacating the building is not an option. Like, we have no place to go. B, we didn't account, it's more funds to leave, whether you pay it to be occupied or not. And, we don't have an IT staff. We'd have to, reestablish a command center somewhere, bring all our networking in. It's just...
We can always move to the patent estate.
True. I'm sure
Hang out
Joe would
with,
love. I'm
the
sure Joe would
Hamilton
love to
folks.
have us. I think the things to take away here is ultimately the town hall needs an HVAC replacement. There is a lot of grant money on the table here that would go away without doing the geo system. An in-kind replacement, although we've been running with $500,000, would really probably only cover, and if we're lucky, the $500,000 would cover this, a replacement of the boiler itself, if I'm using the right terms. It would not remedy any of the air quality issues and the water damage that's happened to the building. It would just be a straight in-kind replacement. So in either scenario, the town is going to have to come up with, more than the $500,000. Originally, we thought it was 125. Now it's, 477. So, just using round numbers, if you have to come up with another 250 for an in-kind replacement, the in-kind replacement plus the required work to remedy the water damage that's been done by over the last however many 10, 15 years by the existing system. It's obviously it's less than the 477, but you're not making progress towards the Green Communities initiative in proclamation that the town made a couple of years ago. So in this contract, we're working with counsel and Attorney Rick Collins here to ask if there's any specific legal questions the board has. But we're working, as Bill referenced, to have a contract that has all the alternates built in so that the end result is a new HVAC. But the decision on what that system is and how we get there, can be decided upon by the board, over the next few months. Jeff and I have, we've already started working. We're thinking that this year is somewhat light capital, trying to come up with some sort of a funding plan to get us there. We've amended our application to the CPC to increase our request from 125 to 300. We don't know, that's not guaranteed, even the 125, but, we're looking to continue to try to make it work. But the alternate will be in there if we end up falling on an in-kind replacement. So, right, the numbers are still being worked up, as Bill said. The contract will come back to the board at some point before the first of the year for some sort of a remote meeting to take a vote to sign if that's what the board wishes. And I think something that also needs to be reiterated, and Bill said it, is, like any municipal contract, it's subject to appropriation. So if we can't raise the money, then we can't proceed with the contract. So with that, we'll open it up to any questions.
One thing I would like to point out, without focusing too much on the solar, I find it interesting that if we actually can get the solar pulled off, one, you're net zero, which I think a lot of the board members would like to see, and town residents would like to see. But in that scenario, you're basically coming up with about the same amount of down payment because you're able to borrow more on the TEL that pays for itself with the savings. Now you own your own solar. You don't have to worry about supply contracts going up and down. And you for the same outlay, you can stay in the building occupied, you're gonna get your solar, and I think that's the project. But the contract won't have the solar piece just because it's not big, and it allows you to lock in that ARPA. But we can add that in before town meeting.
So we're going to have a meeting before Christmas?
New Year, but.
New Year, okay.
So can this be considered a multi-year PO where we pay the down payment using 2024 funds and then pay the remainder in 2025? I mean, you don't pay all of it until it's completed, so the likelihood of it not completing until December of next year anyway, which would fall under 2025. So now you're looking at a 480, which really comes to 240, and that's a little bit easier to stomach.
Yeah, I mean, if it spans 2 fiscal years, we could do it. However, tentatively, it
Well,
looks
because you're
like.
talking April, right?
Well, we probably, I mean, you have to probably, to move free cash around, you have to wait for town meeting vote, correct? So
Yeah, so we have this April, right, so the idea would be to fully fund it this April, but I think what Karen is saying, and it's a fair point, if it spans the 2 fiscal years, can we have 2 separate appropriations to
But you
fund?
have the reserve funds that we haven't touched in FY '24 either, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have the stabilization funds. We also have some reserves and rolled over free cash.
If you go to town meeting and asking for that amount, you're not gonna get it. But if you go to town meeting and ask for half, you will. And it really just comes down to your start date, because you're looking for a down payment of at least, let's say 240. We can discuss the 365 at a later time, and that'll come in for May. The project will then bring you until December, which would fall under 2025, and then it would be completed before the town meeting in 2026.
So we just delay the start?
Yeah,
We delay
but
the
it's a delay
start, but the payment has to be made in 2024.
Right.
Well, no, if we appropriate, the way you appropriate a capital project like this, it's an indefinite. Once appropriated, you can spend that sum of money over, it's basically forever. So like say you appropriate 250 at this year's town meeting, it doesn't have to be spent next year in 26, it can be spent anytime, really.
Yeah, but if you go and ask for 480, you're not gonna get it.
No, I
If you
know,
go and
what
ask-
I'm saying is you could do exactly what you're saying. You could do 250 now if we believe it's an issue to raise and appropriate. We could do 250 at the 25 April ATM and then raise another, whatever the delta is, 250-ish at the 26 ATM. Because once it's raised through a capital project, a capital article, it's raised. It doesn't have to be re-raised again next year.
Correct.
It doesn't have to be spent the next year either. So, I mean, if that's what,
So we just delay the start.
Yeah, so we might need to procure some equipment so we don't lose that or, get stuck with some increase because we delayed too long. I mean, I could talk through some of that with Christian and whatever concerns he would have there, but that just sounds like timing probably lines up.
But we still need the contract by the end of this December because it has ARPA money, right?
Yeah, and is Rick here?
Yes,
No.
he's on
Oh,
Zoom.
he's on Zoom. Oh, sorry. Hi, Rick. How you doing? So Rick Holland is also the lawyer for Hamilton, and he helped us put that contract together. It's all DOER template contract language. So everyone's agreed to use that contract. So we're actually pretty close. And I would think if we could put the final touches on it over the next week, get it to you, say, by next Thursday, so you have until maybe the following Monday, which would be the December 30th. You'd vote on it, and then you'd sign it on the last day of the month. I don't know if that
Yeah,
timing
that's up to-
works, or if
that's
we
up to
got to
the
try to
board's
move it
schedule.
sooner, if we got to try to get it to you before Christmas,
I mean, I personally could work around the board schedule, and it'd be a Zoom meeting, so it's whatever they
What's
think.
your schedule?
So anticipating that we might be holding a Zoom meeting somewhere on December 30th to vote on a final contract.
Or before? I guess it
Before.
comes out.
So I'd certainly like to be able to see the draft before Christmas,
Yep, okay.
the draft contract.
Could we get the draft, review it on the 23rd, which is Monday, and then vote on the 26th, and that way we don't have this looming for the following week?
I'm not available on the 26th for the meeting.
What?
I think that's a pretty tight turnaround too, because I think,
Still saying it.
town
Available
council's
the
gonna wanna
30th or
see
the
final
31st?
contract too, right?
What's that? Sorry.
I'm
Town
not
council
hanging
is
on the
gonna
31st.
want to see the final contract, so.
Yeah, right, so Rick will be the individual reviewing it, so, his schedule, obviously, Rick, how would, if we were to get the contract by the day before Christmas, would 1 week, are we looking at December 30th, is that what we said?
That's Monday, yes.
Would December 30th be enough time to have it reviewed from a council perspective?
I think that would be enough time. This is a state form, the state form of contract, which we made modifications to with Hamilton. So the idea or the concept is to keep the same form of contract. So I think that's sufficient time.
What time is the 30th?
6 a.m.?
It's Zoom, right? I'm in.
Whatever you, I mean, I can do whatever. Well, we'll be traveling, but it's Zoom, I can, whenever the board.
And we're
I have
anticipating
a
10 minutes, right?
Dentist appointment
Shouldn't
at
take
3:15 downtown.
Can we do it at 8 a.m.?
I can do it at 8 a.m.
I'll be up.
Question, Attorney Holland, how extensive was the negotiation, if at all, as between the vendor and the town of Hamilton on the language of the modified contract that you just referred to?
Well, so the form, as I said, is a Commonwealth of Massachusetts form of contract.
Right.
That I think the DOER had prepared. And so I'd say we modified it. We made some moderate modifications to it, not too many.
Okay. I can meet anytime on the 30th.
We should do it by Zoom.
Does 8 a.m. work?
Yeah, Zoom at 8 a.m.
Zoom.
Yeah,
at
Zoom's
8
the
a.m.
only option for me. I will be out of town. but
Jeff
we
has
can-
a comment.
I just have one comment on this sort of
Yeah.
delayed tactic, which might work. Don't forget that this project has to be completed by December 31st, 2026. So if you're putting a second vote off until April of 2026, and it's a 5 to 6 month project, if everything goes smoothly, you are pushing yourself very tight against that December 31st deadline. So that's just something.
That's a
I'm
fair
not saying
point.
it's not doable, but it's something to be mindful of.
No, that's a fair point. I think we'll have some work this week. We'll put together a financing or a couple scenarios and we'll give it to the board.
Or the article says specifically that it breaks it down. Because if you break it down by folks and say it's 240 this year, 240 for next year, but the overall is 480, I think it'll be acceptable. But if you go in saying, I need 480 without the yearly breakdown, you're not gonna get it.
Hopefully we get the CPC funds too. I mean, we're not sure, but.
Can we use current year reserve funds?
Like as far as like financing,
okay.
well, we've had a relatively tough year with that because we've had a police cruiser engine blew, transmission blew, H boiler went at the police station and the boiler went at the catastrophic failure at the fire station. So all 4 of those items are being funded out of the finance reserve. Not to say there isn't going to be something left, but we can look. We'll definitely look and see what we can do to maybe that. I mean, that's actually a fair. At least if I'm reading too far into what you're saying, let me know. But if there was any money to pay down the overall with this year funds, that's a good idea.
So I like Karen's idea to get it, you say it's over 2 years, but you get the go-ahead in April, because if you wait 18 months, 1, you're up against the deadline, and 2, we don't know, the pricing could change, and it's hard to hold, pricing that long. So,
I mean, in a perfect world, we can pay a little bit down now. We get a couple $100,000 from CPC and then raise the delta, which, another couple hundred, which would work, but just a lot of unknowns there at this point.
Well, it sounds like we need a formal letter from all 5 select board members to CPC saying that, this is a priority for a town-wide need.
It's a good idea.
as reference to Hamilton, CPC was very good to Hamilton in their town hall project, so, for their CPC.
I mean, it really is a need at this point.
I mean, the building's so beautiful, and you've done so much to it, it would really complete it for you.
So should we send a letter that we all sign? One letter? Kind of sounds silly to send 5.
Yeah, I think, I'm speaking one letter, Let CPC know that we really need this. Because as you say, we got, what, $1 million+ on the line that,
And the town's already putting in 500.
and without it, we end up going back to the replacement of what we had, which will just break down another 15 or 20 years.
We have some PTSD of what just happened across the street, so.
Can ask Concom as well to send a letter to.
Yeah, any support?
In the back of the letter, can we add the receipts that it cost to update the HVAC for the fire in an emergency response situation? What it was for the police? So for a quick 2-second reference, it'll take a look at what the HVAC was in order to be able to have an emergency. I think allowing a letter and then a receipt to show what it potentially could cost if anything happens here.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure it'll show your point because they're much different. They're more like a home.
Oh, I thought they were bigger.
It's just, I mean, they're not as cheap as, but I think they were $35,000 each or something.
Okay, yeah, then don't do that.
Which is not even
That's
in the
not
same
what
ballpark as what's in this building.
You're on a roll.
Of saying don't do that. Yeah, don't do that.
All right, so do we have a plan here?
So we will work with Rick, I don't know if he's still on, to get you a executable contract by close of business Monday.
Great.
It's Karen date, that was the date she asked for, and then you have, then you'll review and You got your meeting on the 30th, sounds
8
like.
a.m.
8 a.m.
Give us a week to
Okay.
All right,
absorb it.
there we go.
Got our marching orders.
Great.
All right.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Bill.
Christian.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you, guys.
Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Just one quick point for the
Good night, everybody.
board with regard to the potential letter to the CPC. We have to kind of explain the historic preservation rationale, right? Because that would be the CPC category that would be relevant for this.
Yes.
So, yeah. No, but
Just throw it
I'll participate.
out.
if-
Okay. I will sign it.
All right. I think we should move to F. Discussion regarding Phineas
Thank you.
Sprague.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Email to the select board regarding the new school project.
I'm here, I can come up to the board, to the podium if you like.
Well, I read his letter. I think it's the right approach.
Are you going to come up and...
Hello, I'm Finn Sprague, Chair of the Finance Committee, 55 Arbor Street. I'm here to answer any questions you might have, a clarification on the process. Essentially, I'm looking for some guidance from the Select Board on how you'd like me to, or how you'd like the FinCom to approach this question that's going to come up at the annual town meeting. You know, it's a pretty complicated process and problem, and if you can imagine how much time you guys spent on the HVAC system, the school is going to be much worse, and I'd rather not spend or relitigate or complicate the issue. So I was hoping to simplify the question and reduce the scope of what the Finance Committee is going to be asked to do, to limit to either you vote up or down, and try to keep it to just the financial implications of choosing up or choosing down. Rather than, say, making more complicated by saying, yes, but you have to reduce the cost by 10 million, or yes, but you have to answer my questions on X, Y, or Z, or, you know, the things that might really, you know, complicate this and are really something that are best addressed by the school board in proposing this particular project. I haven't met with the FinCom yet, to the rest of the team, to ask, you know, where their opinion is, but I was hoping that I could get your guidance ahead of a meeting, perhaps on Friday. Hopefully that'll be when we meet. Thank you very much.
Did you, go ahead.
Well, I think that's the right approach, because when you get to town meeting, it's going to be a yes or no vote
Right.
on the school proposal. But I think the main point that will push this school proposal is if we can get a fairly accurate cost of what the no vote will entail over the long run.
Right.
So I think what we're asking the FinCom is, in joint with the school committee and superintendent and maybe Hamilton FinCom, to come up with what's the real cost of a no vote at either town meeting.
Yep.
So the head of the Hamilton FinCom's really done a good job on this.
Mhm.
Did you?
I haven't circulated it. Yeah, John McGrath.
I saw a presentation recently, but I think it'd make more sense for me to reach out and work with them directly.
Yeah.
So I plan on doing that.
He's
if that's
really
what you
on
want.
this. He's really deep into the numbers. And I think he has a couple of really refreshing approaches as to how to evaluate the options. So,
Make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and obviously we're at your disposal, so just let us, you know, staff, whatever support, let us know what you...
the other person you may want to sit with is Vinnie Leone.
Mm-hmm.
He's Eric Tracy's finance guy.
Okay.
Can you go up a
And-
little bit?
And he can really do a great job of answering questions. He can turn complex numbers into very simple concepts.
Great.
So when are we looking for an answer? Because we got to have the warrant ready by the 1st of March, so.
I don't know the calendar in front of me, but I believe our second... We just talked about this. I believe our second meeting in February is tentatively a joint meeting between the Select Board and FinCom, where the final recommendations on financial articles will be taken.
This is,
I know Jeff communicated to you guys too on the email.
slightly off topic, but I think for the presentation, whoever's making the presentation, I think it'd be wise to have a brief recap of how much time was put into this process by the school building committee, maybe a little bit about the credentials of the people on it, the opportunity that was quite ample for public input that led to the recommendation. So just a little bit of an overview so people understand that there was a ton of work by qualified people over a long period of time with feedback.
There are going to be a number of forums.
Yeah.
So we had the abutters the other day,
Right.
which was
Right.
I shouldn't say anything.
That might support the idea of not wanting people to Monday morning quarterback and cherry pick and say, well, yes, if you do this, if you do that. It's sort of like, this is the project. But you said there'll be some additional public
Multiple.
meetings. Yeah, even before the town meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there already have been, but there's going to be more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is not an easy sell.
Right.
It's not. Well, actually, presented correctly, it is. But I think the number of what the penalty is of not doing it, that's
That's going to be an interesting question. I'm looking forward to what the Hamilton FinCom has, right, on
John
assumptions
McGrath,
on.
he's really good.
Right.
All right.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Finn.
Sorry to make you wait so long. And now, discussion regarding Ann B. Weeks, Chairperson, Wenham Planning Board, Wenham Community Planning Grant Award Letter, October 10th, 2024. Did you guys all read that?
Mm-hmm.
Did it meet, are you okay with it, Ben?
No, I think that the planning board raises a good point. In my mind, I wasn't thinking that the letter from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities in response to our letter about postponing the vote on 3A, that EOLHC letter merited a response from us, but and I realize there's maybe been subsequent correspondence specifically regarding that, the $65,000 grant. But, I mean, I would support us going on the record in some way simply to state that we disagree that we're going to be out of compliance on January 1st. I know that's the agency's view, and it's that view that I guess is informing its suggestion that the grant might be in jeopardy. But we've already said it in our initial letter, but 3A is in the hands of the courts right now, so that's fundamentally, I think, has been our rationale as to why we're waiting, because it's an unsettled question.
Right.
And there's 3 branches of government, and one of them is the judicial branch, and they're holding the cards on 3A at the moment.
So, are you okay sending this letter?
Well, I think Ann sent us a letter, right? Suggesting what the form of a letter from us might say. I'm okay with it, and I'd be willing to take a first crack at drafting it.
That'd be awesome.
I think, too, that Ann's point that their denial of this particular grant is totally counter to both their and our objectives of the whole area of housing. That's kind of...
Right.
Yep. Okay. Moving on. Discussion and potential vote to send FY26 budget to Finance and Advisor to FinCom for review. Discussion?
So I thought we had very good presentations Saturday. Everyone was very up to speed, and I think they took to heart the FinCom's objectives and our own of managing the budget. So I think that as a almost final draft, it's a pretty good product.
Just so you guys know, if you didn't, I was doing Christmas on
Right,
Saturday.
we knew.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to mention regarding Saturday is that at one point when Terry was up there discussing the assessors, from a board perspective, we need to do a little bit of a better job from a due diligence perspective. She got up there and took a lot more questions regarding her ability and her job opportunities or job description than she did from a finance perspective. And I didn't think, not only was it not fair, but it was not.
Off topic.
It was off topic, and unfortunately, we didn't stop it fast enough. So I, first of all, want to apologize to her for that. But in addition, that shouldn't happen again. It was uncomfortable.
All right. So, point noted. I wish I'd seen what you're talking about, but that doesn't sound very good. So, do we have a motion?
I will move to send the FY26 budget to the Finance and Advisory Committee for its review.
Second.
Ready to vote? Peter votes yes.
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes.
Continued discussion, if any, on 2025 annual town meeting warrant articles.
I have no additions. As we discussed last time, this will be a standing old business item, so if the board wishes at any point that they would like to add or discuss, this will always be here through.
Can we circulate or put out a list of what we
Currently have?
today?
Yeah, can you send that to us? So we have a.
Yeah, it was, yep. Yeah, it's unchanged from last time, but I'll circulate it.
I do have one comment on
Yep.
Jay. So my understanding is that the planning board earlier this week, I think, or whenever it was they last met, maybe it was last week. I don't know what day of the week they meet. Well, when did the planning board last meet?
Last week.
Okay, so you would know, but my
2 weeks ago, sorry.
Okay, my understanding is that the planning board, with respect to 3A and whether there will be a 3A rezoning proposal on the town meeting warrant, either voted or indicated that it would not be prepared to hold a warrant hearing on the existing 3A rezoning proposal that the planning board had worked on, over 2024 and probably before that, for the same reasons that we've hit pause on the 3A process, namely that the SJC is deciding whether to uphold or not uphold portions of 3A and portions of the guidelines, and therefore the planning board doesn't know what proposal it should be considering. And that makes sense to me. And the only reason I raise it is that I have heard that there may have been that there may be a debate as to whether or not there should be a warrant hearing that includes the old 3A zoning proposal, and I'm not exactly sure what the timeline is, like how late we could have such a hearing and still have it on the town meeting warrant.
Yeah, so what I did is I was briefed on the discussion from last week.
Mm-hmm.
I asked Kate to work with Margaret and the planning board to operate as if we were going to have it on the town meeting, so that we have dates selected, even if it's a rush and on, maybe it's too much, but last year we didn't have dates on the calendar and everything was done on the last possible day. So I instructed them to be set up with dates, like work backwards from town meeting and when the warrant has to be drafted and in the mail, and basically coordinate schedules, set dates, so that if anything does happen and we decide that, all right, we need to get this through or get it on time, whatever the decision is, that we're ready.
Okay.
And we have dates on the calendar.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, that makes perfect sense. But I think that whatever the latest possible date of a warrant hearing is, or could be, if we have no further clarity from the courts on the Milton case, then the warrant hearing should not go forward on 3A, in my opinion. But you're setting things up so in the event that it could go forward, at whatever that latest potential warrant hearing date is, then it's ready to do it.
Yeah, and ultimately it's the select board's warrant. So whatever, you guys are the final say. So if you're like, yes, we want it, no, we don't, for whatever reason, it doesn't really matter. It's your warrant, and you guys have total control over what shows up on in that book.
Okay. Great.
Anything else?
For that one, or in general?
We've covered everything.
So I have something for L.
For what?
L. It's just other matters.
Okay.
So I had office hours a couple weeks ago, and it was brought to my attention that the Hamilton Wenham Mothers Group is preparing a draft of a letter to be sent to the select board that, and the concerns are valid, that we need to, as a town, provide a type of childcare in order to allow certain members of the family to be able to attend the town meeting. One of the items that was brought up, and we can discuss it at a later date, I just want to make sure it was duly noted here, is that to work with Bucher to allow the kindergarten room, which is directly adjacent to not only the cafeteria, but to where the gymnasium is, where the meeting is being held, and set that up with a TV and a moderator, which would also allow families to be able to utilize that room and not have to worry about childcare, but also be able to attend the meeting itself.
So you floated this idea at us before.
I just talked to you about it.
What's that?
I talked to you about it.
Oh,
I didn't float it to anybody else.
okay. So when we get the letter, bring it. Let's go.
So I guess the question is what is the additional cost in order to be able to do that? And if that is not something that the town will be able to
Yes.
pay for, is that additional funding that needs to be set up?
So that, yeah, well, it would be additional cost. How much, I don't know, but it certainly would be additional audio-visual setup, and it would be, although close, it would be a separate site, so it would be at the mercy of, internet, I guess, network connection. Additionally, the warrant is the select board's, the meeting is the moderator. So we would have to, Roger Smurge has the final call on, remote meeting rooms, how the meeting is gonna take place and where the monitors are gonna go. So we'd certainly have to loop him into the conversation. But from a cost standpoint, I can certainly do, we can do the due diligence to figure that out and bring loop Roger into the conversation.
Yeah, in
See if he's
anticipation of
amenable.
that email or letter, it would be good to be able to turn that around pretty quickly in response to them. So if we can take a look at whether or not Bucher would allow that, and then what the additional cost would be.
And just so I'm clear, you don't need babysitters there.
Nope,
or-
I think
which
it's
it's
an
the
idea.
parents would be there.
Correct.
And they would participate in the meeting with their
Right.
kids.
So I
Gotcha.
would bring Abby, opposed to having to pay $25 an hour for a babysitter. She would then play in the room. I would be able to participate and watch and vote as needed, but I would be able to watch my own child in that room and be able to still be maintaining my civic duty.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
probably gonna have a lot of participation with the schools.
You're gonna have a lot of people show up for if 3A and the schools are on here.
Right, and we use that.
Let's say the cafeteria could be a good, but sorry, Peter, go ahead. No, but then I think we might need the overflow capacity for just the general attendance, considering what could be on the warrant this year.
Right. So if it allows families to be able to attend without having to put a constraint on the families as well, I think that would be appreciated. But if you can take a look at what Bucher,
Yeah.
what Bucher's answer is and what the cost is, I want to be able to provide a response to them pretty quickly.
How about, I guess I'm just brainstorming.
Let's not brainstorm.
All right.
Let's get the letter, and then you guys can talk.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So, do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn the December 17th, 2024 Select Board meeting at 7:25 PM.
Second.
Ready to vote? And by the way, the next second Select Board meeting is January 7th at 6:30.
or December 30th at 8 AM, right?
Oh, gosh.
By
Yeah, but
Zoom.
that-
Put it on the calendar.
By Zoom
Gary.
for the
Need a quorum.
HVAC issue.
But a regular select board meeting, January 7th at 6:30. Ready to vote?
Yes.
Peter says yes.
Ben, yes.
Karen, yes.
Gary, yes.
I wasn't trying to shut you guys down.